Good day to everyone. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a great weekend, bank holiday weekend over here in the UK, of course. And we move on to this week. I'm Steve Wyss. I'm joined by Ashley Waite. How are you doing, Ashley? How was things over there?
Things over here are going well. Betting wise, life is starting to pick up, right? So, hit 3 units today. Been raking it in over the last few days. So, usually everything else in life goes just fine as long as my betting life is going fine. So, everything else is fine.
Yeah, I saw that you've been having some profit this week, which is very good to see. We had some good results from the show we did on Saturday.
Yes.
Or for Saturday and Sunday's games. We crushed Saturday. Sunday, we wasn't quite so strong. Unfortunately, Leeds didn't even have a shot in the second half against Crystal Palace. We won't even go there. So I think Sinisterra had his 4 shots by the 20th minute, but Jack Harrison decided not to get involved. And then Ben Yedder had a one off the line. It was an unlucky Sunday, but a very good, profitable show we did there. I was posting some plays out on the All Angles Twitter today in Norway. Strange day, actually, in Scandinavia. Every single match in Norway, Eliteserien, was both teams to score no. And there was only one over match, and that was the Brand game later. And it was the same in Obos. There was 2 0-0s in Obos. I mean, I've never known that ever. Yeah. And I think 5 of the 8 games were under for Obos. And just to round things off, I think both teams to score no in the Swedish games as well. So, yeah, it wasn't a good day in Scandinavia for goals. So I got stung on a couple of occasions. Buda Glimt over 3 goals. And it was 2-0 after 13 minutes.
That's brutal.
I mean, that one.
The definition of just, I mean, to not even get a push because it just ended 2-0, right?
Just 2-0. Didn't even get a push out of it. I mean, I've not known that for a long time. I mean, that's the sort of, hopefully, that'll be the only one this year. But, I mean, I actually personally had one in France on Sunday as well. Clermont against Troyes. It was 2-0 after 30 minutes and it ended 2-0.
Yeah.
At least I was on over 2.25 goals in that game, so I didn't lose everything. But I mean, those are so frustrating because you think you're almost counting the cash already.
I used to, until I don't know the last few months or something. Like if you're on the over 2.5 or 2.75, which I am quite a bit, and you get those 2 quick goals, you'll hear some people talk about the curse of the early goal, right? Which it does sometimes seem like if you get a goal in the first 5 minutes, then it's forever before you get another one. But when I'm on over 2.5, or like you on the over of 3, and you get 2 in the first half, I've taken some bad beats on those in the last couple of months. Because it's happened enough where I'm thinking, is that more irritating or is missing the over or a score when someone misses a penalty? Like which one of those is more irritating? I think they're both just bad. So, like with Bodo, you take the over of 3. Of course, you should get at least a push. You get 2 in the first half. That's one where you're definitely sweating it if you're on the under, right? So, I mean, sometimes you make the right play, like I said in the last show, and it doesn't go your way. So that's just one of those where you just move along from it after you throw a bunch of shit,
Well, honestly, it's I mean, looking at the plays that I gave out today on All Angles on the Twitter feed and the videos also on the YouTube channel. I mean, that was very unlucky. There's a won with Bran on the handicap -1 and 0.25. That was a comfortable win. Yeah. Lost half a unit on the Sandefjord game, which was deserved. They deservedly got beat, and then half loss on a 0-0 with Stabæk, which is okay. But then I also gave an in-running play in the Molde game, over 2 goals after 20 minutes. And the reason I gave it, I don't usually take in-running goals in the first half, ever. But it was such an open game that I just couldn't see how there wasn't going to be goals before half-time. And over 2 goals, obviously, I mean, there was a missed penalty in the game from Tromsø. How it ended 1-0 to Tromsø, I have no idea at all. Molde hadn't expected goals of 3.5 in the game.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, you don't have to tell me because now what you first said, like you very rarely take in running first half goals. That's actually probably, that's my favorite live bet. I do that every single day, Ryan, just watching metrics of matches I've not even paid attention to and just betting first half goals. But as far as that Molde, I wasn't really paying much attention to that. I wasn't on it or anything, but after looking at the live metrics and like you said, 3 expected goals, that's insane. I ended up taking them in the second half, Molde, on a double chance at plus money, thinking that, I don't know, I just felt with those numbers, right, there's no way they don't score. Or I at least gave them like a 98% chance to score. Yeah, what a bizarre outcome metrics-wise. I mean, you go back and look at that, and you would think that they won like 3-0, 3-1 or something like that. So
yeah,
that's why I stay clear. Just like Sweden, they haven't played it for me yet, and Norway, I will play some, but like the Obos, like you mentioned, those being low scoring or BTTS. No, I usually like that league for goals, but I'm gonna give it a couple of match days before I jump in and start throwing money at it.
There will be some pitches that are not playing well, especially the grass pitches. I mean, the Star Bet game, there wouldn't have been a goal scored on that pitch until Christmas today because it's just not. You wouldn't want to play football on it, you know.
What is it? It's like wet or frozen or what?
Just bumpy, and the grass is not really proper. Yeah. In fact, I spoke to their assistant manager on the Nordic Football Podcast recently. He said they actually prefer playing away from home on artificial because they can play better football on it. So some of the results are perhaps due to that, but also there was some strange. I mean, the one in Sweden, AIK lost 3-0 at home, which was a shock. A huge shock. So, you've got to be careful in these early stages of any league season. But we move on. We're here to talk about Champions League today, actually, because the quarterfinals are upon us. Before we even know it, they're here. We're here to do a show tonight, and we're going to be doing shows the rest of the week, actually, looking ahead to Europe. We've got Man City against Bayern Munich and Benfica against Inter Milan. Just want to give you some insights and thoughts into the games. We've got a few plays for you here as well. We'll start with, let's start with Man City, Bayern Munich. I mean, I've got one play over these two matches. It's a double. You've got a couple of plays. Now, this particular match, you're going with same game parlay.
Yeah.
And it's come up on screen there. Man City, draw no bet. And Haaland, only brought Haaland to have 2 or more shots at minus 127. Talk us through those.
Right. This is just with the recent manager change at Bayern. I would have. I don't even know if I would have messed with this match, before the coaching changes and everything. But this is kind of like. It's a tricky one. Bayern, they have firepower all over the pitch. It's just, and they've not been high scoring in their last couple of league matches, but also, are they looking towards the Champions League? So not really giving their all in those. So this is kind of just more, I don't really have tons of stats or numbers to back it up. It's just more of a recent form. And me viewing Tuchel as kind of just a boring type. The hell are you doing? You're making me dizzy. So I don't know. I'm just going to say that Man City here, they obviously have firepower as well. So I started to take Man City to win, but I'm going to take the cowardly route like I do, but I don't give a shit because if it works for me, I'll take it. But take Man City on a draw no bet here and just say that they don't lose. I think there's a good shot that they win. And I'm going to combine that with Haaland to have over 1.5 shots. And the great thing about this is neither of those shots has to be on target. I think there's a good chance that he scores. So, but the draw no bet's like minus 260 range, something like that. So I think that Haaland, obviously, I don't have to talk about him. Everybody knows who he is and what he can do. To shoot the ball twice, I would be floored if he didn't. Wouldn't be shocked if he scores outright. So, as long as Man City don't lose, and Haaland gets off 2, they can be 2 shitty shots at minus 127 for the talent that they have. And Bayern's just kind of weird current form. That's the way that I'm going to play this match.
Well, you talk about taking the cowardly approach. You were praised on Twitter this weekend for that safety. We don't use the word coward on here. We use the word safety first. Let's say.
I do. I don't mind it.
You don't mind using the word,
but I
Kate.
win. Fuck no. I'll be a coward every day if I win. That doesn't bother
There
me.
were a few saying that they appreciated the safety first approach. So, don't feel bad about it. And I'm sure you don't. Now I must remind you, Ashley, I kind of have a little bit of pleasure doing this to you. I shouldn't, but I do. But 2+ shots, we are in the hands of Opta. So whatever they determine as a shot,
we are in the
them.
hands of Opta, but and don't think I didn't think of that, right? Because you guys know how I hate Opta. I'm just not even going to go off on that tangent, but that's why I do like this. So not even with Holland though. I think he gets a shot on target, but they seem to not be as rippy offy with just shots as they are with shots on target, right? It's kind of like, I guess it's a little bit more difficult to cheat at that. So yeah, I'm still willing to play shots. I still play shots on target, but I'm more hesitant to. Yeah, I'm not as terrified of Opta when it comes to just shots. I'm sure they'll find a way at some point to screw me on those two, but hopefully not here.
If you are watching on Twitter, feel free to follow the YouTube link that's on the tweets, and you can come in here and comment live if you so desire. And indeed, anyone who is watching live on YouTube, that is where you can comment us directly. Now, I was going to say something here about Haaland. Yes, I made a criminal mistake at the weekend. I play Fantasy Premier League. I'm involved in a fierce battle, actually, with some friends, let's call them, in a league of mine. I've had a very good fantasy season, but I left Haaland out against Southampton. I didn't think he was going to start. I thought he would just come on for 10, 15 minutes, but for some reason, Guardiola wanted to unleash him on Southampton as if it needed to do that. Alvarez would have been perfectly good enough. But he looked a monster, didn't he? He looked really hungry after missing a few weeks with injury.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see him score against Bayern München here, especially being a former Dortmund player. You want to do something on that.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is another angle that I was thinking about. Everyone knows, right? Like Haaland playing at Dortmund for so long, and Bayern being their arch enemies, and Bayern just always getting the better of him, right? So I do love that angle, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that. So I appreciate you, Steve. I think that Haaland will go all out here. Being on a team that has the talent to take down Bayern. I don't think it's going to be easy by any means, but I do love that angle on it also. I would love Haaland to take 2 shots, no matter who he's playing in what situation, but that does make me just love it even more.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this game because I think I've looked back at head-to-heads here between the two managers. It's Pep Guardiola against Thomas Tuchel, of course. And Tuchel has had some success against him in the Champions League final, most notably for Chelsea. 1-0 win. Kai Havertz got the winner that day. Pep produced a horrible game plan and on that particular occasion, and Thomas Tuchel's also beaten him in an FA Cup semi-final. So he does have success. Also, he's lost some games against Pep. But one thing I've noticed with the stats is that literally every time he plays against Man City, he's very happy to concede possession and be on the back foot and basically just soak up pressure. And I think it's going to be the same with Bayern. I think Thomas Tuchel's going to come here and look to get a 0-0 draw if he can, or a low-scoring defeat. He's going to be quite happy to be dominated in nearly every category as long as the scoreline's not too bad. And that leads me on to my part of my double. This is the double that I'm going with. Now, the second part of the double is Benfica draw no bet. I'll talk about that when we do the Benfica game. But Man City over 4.5 corners. Now, that's not asking a lot for a team that averages well over 6 per game in all comps this year. They rack up a lot of corners. And like I say, I think I've looked at these head-to-heads, and City always batter Thomas Tuchel whenever they face him on corners, like significantly. I mean, I don't think it's even going to be close, to be honest. You could also take Man City most corners if you wanted to, but I'd always rather take the individual number, just in case there was a freak. You can sometimes get a freak moment, can't you, where a team wins 3 or 4 corners in a row due to deflection. So I'll take this over 4.5 Man City corners. I'm not saying they play for corners, but I mean, you're almost sometimes better off giving away a corner against Man City than letting them cross the ball, because they're not going to cause you as much issues. So I think Bayern will happily clear it behind. It's not asking a lot. I think they're going to dominate the game, 60+% possession. And I know I'm not really someone who gets involved with corners too often, but this part of the actual double I'm going to go with looks really safe to me. I mean, it's not asking a lot, but I do think it's going to be a fairly dominant performance from Man City. Whether they convert that into goals, I'm not sure. I think I think something like I could see to like 2-0 City in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard for me to read. That's what I'm saying. Like before the managerial change and everything, I kind of got the feeling maybe it's sort of a high scoring shootout, but I don't really know what to expect here as far as goals. That's why I usually take totals and not sides, but I just had to approach this one differently. Yeah. So whether it's going to be, I could see a low scoring Man City win. I could see possibly a draw. Or I could see a shootout. I have no idea. If I was to guess to take over or under, I don't even know which way I would go with it. So that's why I'm not even messing with that. But I do like your angle, and I do hope, because typically with Tuchel, right, that is why I say he's boring as hell. And I'm hoping that Man City do control possession and shots. That helps out your corners, and it definitely helps out Haaland getting a couple of shots. So.
Yeah, I think Man City will certainly dominate the shots as well in this game, really, compared to Bayern. Bayern will have a threat on the break, but yeah, I think City can do a good job here. We're going to move on to Benfica against Inter Milan now. And, this is an intriguing game. Both these teams are in a nice section of the draw. The winners will face either Napoli or AC Milan. So I think you've got to be looking potentially at even reaching the final for both of these sides. I know you were heartbroken in the previous round a bit because Porto got knocked out by Inter Milan in rather unfortunate circumstances, and I know you were really quite high on Porto in that tie, and they were very unlucky not to at least take it to extra time.
Yeah.
Did Inter Milan convince you in that tie, or are you going to continue to be going against them, do you think?
They convinced me in that tie, but some of that I think was too just Porto with poor finishing. Inter Milan, here we go again. It's the same thing with Bayern. They're just in a weird place right now. And I don't know if it's just, Inter is focusing more on Benfica in the last week or so and not so much caring about Serie A, but they have looked putrid. I'm not a big fan of this team anyway. I like them a little bit more than I do AC Milan, but you're just hardly going to see me pick either of these Milan sides. So I'm not going to take anything specifically goals or a winner in this match. Right. Yeah. Like you see on the screen there. I'm just going to say that when these two matches are all said and done, that Benfica goes through. I think, Benfica open up this first leg here at home, and I think they're just a superior team right now anyway. I'm very impressed with them, but I bet this team a lot in Portugal's Primeira Liga. And yeah, I mean, Lukaku looks horrible. Lautaro Martinez is probably the streakiest goal scorer I've ever seen in my life. He'll score 4 matches in a row, and then he won't score in, what is it, like 6, 7, 8, something now that he's gone without scoring. He's just bizarre. And when it comes to betting money, it might, schizophrenic teams or not knowing what to expect can make for an enjoyable watch, but it doesn't make it very enjoyable when you're putting money on it. So I don't like to mess with those teams. Benfica has been more consistent. I bet them in their league. I kind of know what to expect from them. They're fantastic on offense. They're pretty solid on defense too. And I just don't see, can I see Inter going through? Sure. If it just so happens that they're playing pretty shitty, in Serie A because they're looking to this match, but I don't trust them. And I think this is a fantastic price to get Benfica just to move through over 2 matches. I just think they're the superior team right now. And I would have put that price more at like -140. So I think definitely getting value on that price too.
Ash is playing the long game here and going to be waiting. Is the second leg next week or is it the week after? I'm not sure. I think it's next week. Yeah, so playing the long game, going to be waiting at least a week to cash your money, but that's absolutely fine. I really like this pick as well. I think Benfica. Would you think I'd be a bit far-fetched to say that Benfica could win the Champions League this season?
Yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I think there's going to be several teams that have a good shot, but yeah, you would definitely have to throw their name in the mix, I think.
I think they're like 16-1 to win it, but they're in a nice section of the draw, but
a sprinkle.
It might be worth a sprinkle indeed. As I say, I'm going to go back to this double now of mine. I am going to be involved in this first leg. I'm taking Benfica draw no bet. I think they're gonna go back to Italy with an advantage. I really do. I don't rate this Inter Milan side. They've gone off form. They're not playing particularly great football. They don't have many goals in them, at the moment at all. I mean, you've actually discussed that pretty well and described what's been going wrong. Lukaku is a shadow of what he once was. Martinez. I mean, to be fair, whatever happens, he's had a successful season. He's won the World Cup. He scored in the penalty shootout, didn't he? I think in the World Cup. He didn't do anything else in that competition.
No, he did. He did. He missed a bunch of wide open shots. He did that for sure.
But I feel like he's not been the same since. Really, he's like lost rhythm. So they don't have much of a goal scoring threat. Benfica are actually underrated. They're cruising the Portuguese league this season. They really are. And actually lost to Porto recently. But they're still 7 points clear.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. I'm not bothered by that at all, them losing to Porto. Benfica is so clear at the top, and they absolutely have been focused on this match coming up. So they knew they could afford to lose to Porto. And a hard-fought match. I mean, Porto's a fantastic side anyway. But, yeah, Benfica, underrated. And what a team to underestimate. I don't understand it. They smash people in league play. This month, this team's been a money wagon for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they win the first leg. I think they know they need to go back to Italy with an advantage. The way I see it, Inter deserved to lose the previous round overall against Porto. Yeah. You could argue Benfica are slightly better than Porto. And, combine those factors, and the Inter Milan's form seems to have dropped since the previous round, then I think over the two legs, you've got a great bet there, Ashley. And I think in leg one, I see this being a 1-0, 2-0. I could see it being an under game. And there's an interesting referee appointment here, actually. We've got Michael Oliver's involved, English referee, which is a bit of a shame, actually. There's a Spanish referee in the Bayern game, and I wish he was in charge here, because if we had a Spanish ref in this match, I think there'd be loads of cards, absolutely loads of cards. But Michael Oliver can be very, very difficult to predict. I don't know what sort of game he's going to do. He might let the players off with a few things. So, the cards market don't interest me on either of the games for Tuesday, which is maybe unusual for me.
Yeah, that is unusual for you. I'll because if you have cards or corners, I tell you, Michael Oliver, never heard of the guy, so no clue.
You tell me a Bayern player or a Man City player that regularly goes in the book, and that person's worth backing in that game. But none of their players ever get booked, do they? City or Bayern? I don't really.
Yeah, you pay more attention to book. Well, I mentioned last time the people I'm going to be taking is like Gabby for. Is there somebody that gets booked a lot?
Rodri, I don't know, because both sides are so dominant in their own leagues that they just don't.
Yeah, they don't usually have to get frustrated and go at people. So, yeah.
But if you can find someone in that Man City game who will actually get stuck in, the Spanish referee averages over 6 cards a game. So let's see in that one. But it's a not a good mixture, unfortunately. But okay, then. So, have we got any other plays on this one? No, that is it for here. I don't know if there's anything else you like across the world on Tuesday, Ashley, or not. You often a lady for a random league, so if you could point someone in the direction of somewhere.
Hell yeah, I can. We're going to go all the way to Singapore here. I'm not playing a unit, but this is just a league that I love taking value shots. Anyone who follows me on Twitter, like even my unit plays. I love to swing for plus money, which works out for me well. And helps my ROI. So we're going to go to Singapore, and I'm just kind of small play personally and on Patreon here for Gelang and Balestier, both teams to score in the first half. And that's at plus 210. And just going to sprinkle that quarter of a unit, possibly half a unit. If you want to take the over 1.5 in the first half, I think that has a decent shot, obviously, because I'm taking both to score in the first half. That's like minus 120. So you're laying a little bit. And me, I would rather just swing for extreme value here, getting more than double my money. So yeah, Balestier and Gelang both to score in the first half at plus 210. Don't go crazy with it, but I think it's got a pretty good shot.
Now, this is Gelang International FC against Balestier Calcer FC. I probably absolutely butchered those pronunciations.
I probably did too. We're probably both way off, but you just go by the phonics of what I'm saying, and you'll be able to look. I think there's only two. Brunei is in a match, and the other one. I think there's the only two in Singapore going on.
That's both teams to score in the first half. Actually, I mean, both teams to score in the match is actually as low as minus 323. So I think there's going to be some goals in this. Goal line must be huge.
The last one ended a few months ago, like 4-2 or so. I don't know. Yeah, goals. Just if you like taking plus money shots, if you like goals, you need to check out Singapore.
The goal line for the match is 3.75. So this isn't going to end 0-0, is it? You would hope not.
Well, now that you just said that, it fucking might. It better not. Hopefully you didn't jinx it. It would be very rare. So let's hope that there's a goal from each team in the first half, and then we don't care what happens.
There hasn't been a 0-0 in this league yet this season.
There you go again. You just double jinxed it.
And there's only been 2 matches that have actually ended under 1.5 goals. So every match, apart from 2 matches, has had at least 2 goals in it.
Well, Singapore is like, a lot of people like to take swings at both teams to score second half because historically in this sport, second half is the highest scoring. But man, you have to hit just like 1 out of 3 or 4 of these to be profitable. And I definitely do that in this league. So.
Outrageous. If it ends 0-0, you can give me a good.
I'm going to take it to Yorkshire. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you put some foot in ass at this ends 0-0. Watch it in 0-0 now. I swear to God.
So I enjoyed your Yorkshire accent there.
Yorkshire.
You're learning. You're learning, aren't you?
I learn pretty good sometimes. Yeah.
Well, that is going to be it for this week. We're going to be back again. The next 3 nights, talking about matches on Wednesday, Thursday, probably Friday as well. We're like Craig David here, 7 days. Remember that song? You might not remember it.
What is it? Sing it. Let me hear you sing it. And I have a question before we go. So it's like everyone makes fun of, when American actors try to do a British accent in a movie, and it's like British people like to make fun of the way we talk. But why is it that when British people sing, you'll sing with an American accent? Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't sing very often.
See, we need to study this. I want to find it out because I'm like, I do love a British accent, but then I'm like, why do you guys so sing? Because you guys always make fun of like Americans flatten their vowels and things like that. But that's how you guys sing. So what's the deal with that?
Well,
no one watching this gives a shit, but we'll continue.
This is a very random conversation indeed. So
I have a very random brain. So
on that note, we will sign off, and I hope thanks to anyone who has been watching us, either live or on demand, as I'll say, on repeat. But we'll be back similar time the next few nights. Best of luck, whatever you're taking in the Champions League.
Yes.
And let's hope we cash some winners there. But until next time, Ashley.
And good luck in Singapore.
Absolutely. See you, everyone. Goodbye.